Hello po sa inyong lahat. Kamusta po kayo? Sa mga panig kayong ng mundo naroon. Welcome po sa ating channel, ang showpol.ph. Kung kayo po ay mapadpad sa channel na ito, huwag niyo po kalimutan mag-subscribe. I-click po ang notification bell para lagi po kayo ma-update sa ating mga bagong video na gagawin. I-like at i-share na rin po ang ating video para marami pong makapanood. Ngayon po ay pag-uusapan lang natin yung nangyaring balasahan sa Senado. Ang pag-resign po ni Senate President Miguel Zubiri at siya po ay pinalitan ni Senator CHIZ Escudero at ang ilan pang senador na nagbitiw ng kanilang chairmanship sa kanilang mga committee. Yan lang po ang ating pag-uusapan. Hindi po natin pag-uusapan yung nangyaring PDLX at talakayin po natin yan sa susunod na araw. Ito lang po muna ang pag-uusapan natin. Panoorin po natin yung speech ni Senator Zubiri bilang respeto sa ating Senate President sa kanyang pagbibitiw. Pero bago po yan, kung date po muna tayo sa ating currency exchange. Ngayon po ay ka-20 ng Mayo, taon 2024. Ito po ang ating latest currency exchange. Ang $1 po ay 57.982. New Zealand dollar po ay 35.441. Bahraini dinar 154.21. Kuwaiti dinar 188.93. Saudi Arabian Riyal is 15.462. Canadian dollar po ay 42.583. Japanese yen is 0.371. British pound 73.647. At ang ating pong euro ay 62.953. So ngayon po ay puntahan natin yung ating topic, yung pong resign ni Senate President Miguel Zubiri.
Our beloved Senate President Juan Miguel Zubiri for his speech.
We recognize Senate President Juan Miguel Zubiri.
Thank you very much, Madam President. My President, Mr. President, my esteemed colleagues, I rise on a matter of collective and personal privilege. I've always said that I serve at the pleasure of my colleagues, and I thank them for entrusting me with the monumental responsibility of leading the Senate over the past 2 years. It has been my greatest honor of my life as a public servant and the greatest challenge. Never could I have imagined as a neophyte senator learning the ropes from some of the best luminaries of the Senate, its Senate history, such as Ed Angara, Joker Arroyo, Miriam Defensor Santiago, Juan Ponce Enrile, Frank Drilon, and many others, that I would one day bear the blessing and burden of the Senate presidency itself. I have given this job my all. Not only have I maintained my untarnished record as a public servant and my streak of perfect attendance since 1998, but I have also done my best to rise to the occasion as a leader responsible for this entire institution and everyone under its care. Today, I look back on these 2 years with immense pride on what the Senate has accomplished and stood for under my leadership. In these 2 years, we have legislated with an eye towards progress and a heart for service. We have spearheaded landmark measures as the Public-Private Partnership Code, the Maharlika Investment Fund, the Internet Transactions Act, the Real Property Valuation Assessment Reform Act, the LGU Income Classification Act, and the Anti-Financial Scamming Act, and many, many other measures that bring a more dynamic economic landscape and create more jobs and opportunities for our people. On the table, we have more economic measures that we expect to pass soon. Primarily the Create More and the new Government Procurement Act. Our first year was led by our mission of national reconstruction. We had to look inwards to assess what we lost during the pandemic and build solutions from there. But in our second year, we could afford to stretch our necks out a bit more, and we could look outward and explore opportunities for bilateral and multilateral cooperation. We could afford to reach out to establish stronger presence on the global stage. In a historic move, we've never had this man or that level of leadership from Japan. We called the joint session to hear an address from Japanese Prime Minister Kishida Fumio. It was us, our dear colleagues, who invited him to address the joint session of Congress in our trip to Japan. And we had the honor of listening to a message from the former Senate UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon in this very hall at the invitation of the Senate. In each of all these exchanges, we were able to advocate for better conditions and opportunities for Filipino workers abroad. And we're able to explore possibilities in defense cooperation, trade agreements, academic and cultural exchanges, agricultural partnerships towards a more globally involved Philippines. Last year, the Senate successfully hosted the 31st annual meeting of the Asia-Pacific Parliamentary Forum, a move that allowed us to strengthen our bilateral and multilateral relationships and tell the world that we are here, ready to partner in progress alongside the rest of the democratic world. We work to secure peace in the region so we can protect our fisher folk and their livelihood here on our waters. We reached out to draw investors in so we can create more jobs for our people. Sa huli, iuuwi natin lahat ng ating ginagawa para sa bayan at para sa taong bayan. While we work on hitting the goal of becoming an upper middle class income economy in the next few years, we also know that ultimately, development is not just about GDP growth. Walang tunay na kaunlaran hanggat may Pilipinong namamatay sa gutom o sa kawalan ng serbisyong medikal. Walang tunay na kaunlaran hanggat may mga kabataan tumitigil sa pag-aaral para magtrabaho para sa kanilang mga pamilya. Walang tunay na kaunlaran hanggat hindi matatanggap o natatanggap ng manggagawang Pilipino ang disenteng sahod. Senate President or not, I will continue to push for the welfare of our laborers until they receive decent wages that they deserve. The Senate has also been a committed partner to the armed forces of the Philippines and Coast Guard in defending the nation. No Senate has been more outspoken in opposing foreign aggression than the one that sits today. And lest we be accused of being all talk, let me assure you that this Senate has been working hand in hand with the armed forces and the Coast Guard in making necessary budget allocations for the procurement of maritime assets, arms, and defense systems. Lagi ko nga pong sinasabi, hindi nagkukulang sa puso at tapang ating mga sundalo at miyembro ng Coast Guard. Kailangan lang tapatan natin ang tamang mga kagamitan at mga sasakyan pagligpandagat at panghimpapawid para tulungan silang ipaglaban ng ating bansa. Of course, none of these measures and budgetary allocations would have reached the President's table without the vital work of our Senate employees. I want to thank from the bottom of my heart the members of the Office of the Secretary, Secretary Ray Bantug, Legislative, Administrative, and Finance Services, of course, Attorney Mavic, External Affairs and Relations, the Office of the Sergeant at Arms, my dear friend, my loyal friend and good friend, General Angkan, who ensure the security of the Senate, and of course, the staff of the senators who are all crucial to every step of lawmaking, to the whole Secretariat. Mabuhay po kayong lahat. I love you guys, you know that. So as Senate President, I'm proud to have led institutional reforms for the benefit of our Senate employees. Mahal na mahal ko kayong lahat, mga empleyado ng Senado. For one, we have made sure to repay our employees' dedication with increased benefits. especially our long-serving employees who have devoted their life's work to the Senate. Marahil ay alam naman po ninyo kung ano-ano po ang mga monetary at non-monetary benefits na naibahagi sa inyo mula sa aking pamumuno. Mabuhay po kayong lahat. And I think we've been the most generous, and I'm proud of it. We have also gone full speed ahead on regularizing our casual and contractual employees. So many of our employees, particularly the hardworking folks in the office of the Sergeant at Arms, sa OSA, are just one step away from being regularized. Tinutulungan po natin sila pumasa ng civil service exam para matulungan po natin sila sa prosesong ito. By taking care of our own, the Senate has been able to perform better, supported as we are by the great work of our Senate employees. I salute each and every one of you for the job that you do. We are nothing without you. Maraming salamat po sa pagkakataon na masuklian ang trabaho ninyo para sa Senado. You have helped shape the legacy of the Senate in its first 2 years under the 19th Congress. Now, I do not want to make any grand proclamations about the legacy of the Senate in these 2 years. Our legacy is not for us to define. Ultimately, that will be for the Filipino people to decide. All we can do is put work in and hope that our record speaks for itself. And the record, I'm happy to say, has been met with approval. Under our leadership, the Senate has seen some of the best approval and satisfaction ratings in recent history, going back to 1988. Napakalaking karangalan po ito at nabigyan po kami ng lakas ng loob na lalo pang pagbutihin ang serbisyo natin dito sa Senado. As Senate President, I look back on these 2 years with immense pride over what the Senate has accomplished and stood for under my leadership. We have been bold and courageous as a Senate, unafraid to call out injustice where we see it, whether in our sovereign seas or within our own government. We have been fair-minded and truth-driven in the Senate, despite the political noise that often surrounds us. We have been a compassionate Senate, listening to and acting on our people's call for decent jobs, equitable wages, and accessible health care. And we have been a staunchly independent Senate. Let me say that again. We have been a staunchly independent Senate, holding strong against all threats against our institution and against very threats to the very foundation of the democracy in which our nation is built. Indeed, these 2 years, I have come to realize that being Senate President is not only about leading the troops, but also putting oneself on the line. If that's what it takes to protect our institution. And so I have put myself on the line to shield the Senate from all attacks, particularly from efforts to diminish the powers of this institution as the country's last bastion of democracy. In January, we fought against the dreaded People's Initiative, which would have destroyed this very institution I'm standing here right now. God knows what I had to do to defend the Senate. Throughout all this, I could count on each and every one of our colleagues, both in the majority and the minority, whose wisdom and cooperation helped shape the identity of the Senate for this post-pandemic age. But I want to thank my leadership team and those who stayed beside me to the very end. Ma'am Lauren, my Senate President Pro Tem, thank you very much for your loyalty and wisdom. I know many times temptations have been called to you, but you've been steadfast. Maraming salamat, ma'am. True test of character. Maraming salamat. To my dear majority floor leader, Pare, thank you for your hard work and dedication. Isa ka sa pinakamasipag nating majority floor leader. Pare, thank you for your friendship till the very end. I love you. You know that. Mahal kita. I will always cherish your support. To Sunny, possibly the best finance chair this institution has ever had, I thank you, sir. I thank you. You know, your father was like a father to me. And I'm happy to call you my brother, sir. Senator JV, what can I say? Your loyalty, your friendship and hard work, which will help steer many important measures in this institution. Sir, I'm proud to call you my friend. Nancy, who's been loyal from day one as a friend, never waving. Thank you, my dear. I love you dearly and your family. Sherwin, my kumpadre, pare, maraming salamat, pare. You are a good friend and kumpadre. I'm proud that you're the ninong of my son. To Bato de la Rosa, who stuck it out to me to the very end. Sir, I salute you, sir. To the others, my dear friends, my heart is broken. I am proud to have led the Senate that's been resolute in protecting our institution, our democracy, and our people. Being an independent leader, I gave way for each member of the Senate also to be independent and to come to decisions through collaboration rather than direction. I have never dictated my position on any of you, you know that. I've always supported your independence, which is probably why I face my demise today. I failed to follow instructions from the powers that be. Simple as that. I've listened to all my colleagues throughout my Senate presidency, and again I listened to them today. As we head into a new period for the Senate, I fought the good fight. If I've ruffled some feathers in doing so, then so be it. Hindi ko tinanggap ang pagiging Pangulo ng Senado para lang hayaan na bumagsak ito. Today, I offer my resignation as Senate President of the Republic of the Philippines. And upon stepping down, I vow to serve as an independent member of the Senate. My allegiance as ever belonging only to the Filipino people. I leave with my head held high, knowing that I did what is right for the Senate and for the nation. I wish our new leadership the very best, and I pray that they will be steadfast in upholding the independence of this beloved institution. I will remain vigilant to make sure that the traditions and the rules of the Senate will remain steadfast. Once again, maraming salamat po. Mabuhay ang Senado, mabuhay ang Republika ng Pilipinas.
Thank you very much, Senate President Juan Miguel Zubiri, for your heartfelt speech. We are grateful for your service to the institution. Thank you for your service to the nation. Thank you for a job well done, Senate President Juan Miguel Zubiri. Session is suspended.
Ngayon po ay panoorin natin yung ilang senador na nagbitiw sa kanilang mga committee. Panoorin po natin.
Then may I just be allowed to make a very short manifestation?
The Majority Leader, Senator Joel Villanueva, is recognized.
Thank you, Madam President. Let me start by saying, Madam President, na kulang po ang salita upang ipaabot ang taus-puso nating pasasalamat sa ating inspirational leader, ating naging Senate President Migs Zubiri. Maraming salamat, SP Migs. Maraming salamat. Madam President, anuman po ang ating politikal na paniniwala, saan man po tayong grupo nakabilang o napapabilang, sa bandang huli, isa lang po ang ating pinipili, ang ating minamahal na Pilipinas. Being part of the leadership, Madam President, carries a cost, requiring leaders to be ready to consistently make sacrifices, prioritizing the interest of their organization, institution, or even their country above their own self-interest. And so today, Madam President, I tender my resignation because the greater cause outweighs my personal interest. Maraming salamat po, Madam President.
Thank you very much, our Majority Leader, Senator Joel Villanueva. We thank you for your service to the institution and your service to the nation.
Thank you. Madam President, thank you. Madam President, may I move that we recognize Senator Nancy Binay.
Senator Nancy Binay is recognized.
Thank you, Madam President. I would just like to manifest that I'm also resigning as chairperson of the Committee on Accounts and Tourism and Ethics. Thank you, Madam President.
We take note of the manifestation of Senator Nancy Binay. Thank you. We thank you for your dedication to duty as well.
Madam President, Senator Sani Angara is also seeking the floor. I move that he be recognized.
We recognize Senator Sani Angara, Chairman of the Committee on Finance.
Thank you to the beauteous presiding officer, Majority Leader. I'd like to pay tribute to our outgoing Senate President, our outgoing Majority Leader, our outgoing Senate President Pro Constitution. Pinaglaban niya ang ating taong bayan dun sa mga gustong solohin ang kapangyarihan. To our Majority Leader, thank you for being here day in, day out, late, along with Senator JV's team. To you, it's a very productive team, so I just want to thank. But at the same time, I'd like to also tender my resignation as the chairperson of the Committee on Finance, the chairperson of the Committee on Youth, and the chairperson of the Subcommittee on Constitutional Amendments, in order to give the new leadership a free hand to choose who they wish to fill up these positions. And I thank our colleagues for the chance to serve them for the last 5 years as the chairperson of the Committee on Finance. I think we achieved real progress together. And I think if at all I was able to empower you to fulfill or to realize your advocacies, I think yun ang masasabi po natin. And I wish the incoming chairperson, Senator Grace Poe, is a great senator, a great, very hardworking, the best on the job. She's definitely up to it, and of course to the new leadership, Senate President Sen Escudero, I wish you and your team the best, sir. Thank you, Madam President. Thank you po.
We would like to thank Senator Sani Angara for his brilliance, his fairness, his dedication to duty as chairman of the Senate Committee on Finance, a post I held before him. Thank you so much, Senator Sani. We appreciate the work you've done.
Madam President,
Majority
Senator
Leader.
JV Ejercito, our Deputy Majority Leader is seeking the floor. I move that he be recognized, Madam President.
Our Deputy Majority Leader, Senator J.V. Ejercito, is recognized.
Thank you, Madam President. First of all, I'd like to thank the Senate President, Miguel Zubiri, for the trust and confidence. Majority Leader Joel Villanueva, of course, the President, the Senate leadership for entrusting me to become the Deputy Majority Leader for the past 2 years. And all I can say is that I'm very proud to be part of this team under the leadership of President Miguel Zubiri. One thing is for sure, this team is principled, hardworking, and this team fought for the institution. And those countless nights, evenings, sessions during the budget hearings will always have a mark in my history. And again, I would like to resign, of course, to give the new leadership a free hand in reorganizing the Senate leadership. But again, I would like to say that I will always be proud to be part of this institution and proud to have been part of the leadership under Senate President Mix, who really was a very productive team. And thank you very much also to the Senate staff for your cooperation and at the times that we were on the floor. Again, to the new leadership of under Senator CHIZ, good luck to their team, and you can always count on us to be there, as the center of their bank. Mabuhay po kayo lahat.
Thank you very much to our hardworking Deputy Majority Leader.
I move to recognize Senator Lorne Legarda. Senator Legarda is recognized.
Mr. President, honorable colleagues, today I stand before you with profound gratitude and honor. It has been the greatest privilege of my career to serve as your Senate President pro tempore for nearly 2 years. With integrity, determination, and perseverance, we have overcome challenges and achieved significant milestones that I will forever cherish. I am thankful for the trust and confidence each of you has placed in me throughout my tenure as your Senate President pro tempore. I am immensely proud of the work we have accomplished together. To Senate President Juan Miguel Zubiri, your leadership has been instrumental in guiding this esteemed chamber towards greatness. Your dedication to public service inspires us all. To the Majority Leader, Senator Joel Villanueva, I am grateful for the camaraderie, collaboration, and the hard work we've all put together, we've shared in the pursuit of our shared goals. To all the members of this esteemed body that I have served since 1998 as the most senior, as we transition to a new leadership of Senate President Escudero, I pledge my full support to those who will carry our mission forward. May you build upon the solid foundation we have laid and elevate our Senate to even greater heights. My commitment remains as steadfast today as it was during my first days as Senator in 1998, to tirelessly advocate for policies and legislation that will uplift our nation and improve the lives of every Filipino. I hereby tender my resignation as Senate President pro tempore to allow the new leadership to organize its committees and leadership. Thank you, Mr. President and esteemed colleagues, for this remarkable journey.
Sir, thanks.
So yan na lang po muna ang ating video na ipapakita. Ipapakita ko po sa inyo yung ilang mga senador na nagbitiw sa kanilang committee. Kasama rin po pala dyan ay si si Senator JBS ito. Pero tingnan po natin yung mga ibang mga member na nagbitiw at yung mga pumalit sa kanila. With Escudero's election changes were made in the leadership team as well, with the resignation of Senator Joel Villanueva resigned as majority leader and Senator Loren Legarda as Senator pro tempore. Major committees such as Finance and Account were deemed vacant as well, with the resignation of Senator Sani Angara and Nancy Binay. Kasama rin po si Mr. Senator JBR ito. At replacing them are Senator Francis Tolentino as Majority Leader, Jinggoy Estrada as Senate pro tempore, Grace po as a Chairperson of the Committee on Finance, and Alan Peter Cayetano as Committee on Accounts Chair. Yan po yung mga pumalit sa mga nag-resign po sa kanilang committee. Yung pong mula sa umpisa po ng ating video ay sinabi po natin ay ito po ay isang respeto sa ating sa pag-alis ng ating Senate President na si Miguel Zubiri, at doon na rin po sa ibang mga senador na nagbitiw sa kanilang committee. At sa susunod na video po ay pag-usapan natin yung mga bago, lalo na si new Senate President CHIZ Escudero, at bigyan pa natin siya ng welcome. Sa nangyayari pong ito sa Senate, hindi po tayo magkokomento. So bilang respeto sa mga nagbitiw at respeto na rin sa bagong Senate President na si CHIZ Escudero. Abangan nyo na lang po yung mga video natin bukas. Bilang respeto po, ex-Senate President Miguel Zubiri, alam ko na meron siyang mga nagawang hindi natin nagustuhan or labag para sa atin, pero sa iba naman ay okay. So hindi po pare-pareho ang ating mga opinion Yan lang po muna ang ating pag-uusapan sa ngayon. At antayin niyo po yung ating video bukas. Muli po, kung sakali po kayo mapadpad sa channel na ito, mag-subscribe, click po ang notification bell, like at i-share na rin po ang ating mga video. So hanggang sa muli po, mag-iingat po kayong lahat. Maraming po salamat. Paalam.